Deputy Prime Minister Michael McCormack joins us now. Deputy PM, thanks for your time this morning. Really appreciate it. The curfew in Victoria in Melbourne finished at 5 a.m. this morning. Is the relief going fast enough?
No, it's not, and we need these border restrictions to be eased quicker because we need to get planes back in the air. Planes in the air means jobs on the ground, Karl and Ali. We want to get those planes up, flying again, not just for the jobs in the aviation sector, but people want to travel. We head into the warmer months, they want to be able to go on holidays in Australia. They want to be able to fly interstate, and they certainly want to have reunions with loved ones, which is always the case over Christmas. They won't be able to do it if the borders are still shut.
But, I mean, as we've seen with Melbourne, if they come out of this too quickly, we could end up back where we were before, and Christmas could look very different to what we're hoping.
Well, New South Wales has been the gold star standard when it comes to tracking and tracing as far as the coronavirus. No new cases yesterday. What we want to see is the ability to obviously track and trace. What we want to be able to see is that coronavirus, handled right across the nation. And yes, we've done very well as a nation, but continuing to have tight border closures is hurting particularly regional areas. They're under very similar restrictions in some cases they have been to those in the city areas, and they haven't had a coronavirus case for many months, if at all. Now, I appreciate that many of those restrictions in regional Victoria have eased, but we're talking about one city here, and it's affecting most of the state. It's affecting international travel, it's affecting interstate travel. And what we're doing is we're extending the domestic and regional aviation network support. We're putting more money, millions upon millions of dollars, into making sure that we get planes back in the air. But if we still have tight border restrictions, it makes it so much more difficult.
Well,
extended these measures.
It'll be a complete waste of time. If you can't get the borders open, it's going to be a complete waste of time. And how much cash is going into it? How's it going to be divided up? And how effective is it going to be?
Well, they're subsidised routes, and so if we don't put this mechanism in place, Karl, we won't be able to get planes to Julia Creek and to Kununurra and to Bathurst Island, to some very remote places across the far-flung corners of our nation, and that's what this network support mechanism has done. It's made sure that for those towns and indeed cities that would otherwise have had very limited or none at all aviation, they're getting the supplies, they're getting the frontline medical personnel, and so the support mechanisms for the domestic until January 31 next year, and for the regional network until the end of March, is going to make it possible for them to get airlines into their communities. And so for their communities, it is vital, and that's why we're doing it.
How confident are you that we will see borders open by Christmas?
Well, that's up to the premiers, of course, and they need to know that people need to get back to their loved ones. They need to know that the aviation sector needs those jobs, and regional tourism, indeed tourism right across the nation. Yesterday we supported it with $250 million, both regional programs and tourism programs, to get Australians to go and see our wonderful country. There's so many things to see in Australia. They can't do them if they've got tight borders, and this is hurting our economy. It's one of those things which, if we don't do it, it is just going to cause so much chaos and heartache and continued job losses, particularly throughout the aviation and tourism sectors, and hospitality, of course.
We know in the farming sector, they're struggling to find workers. They've tried every incentive in the book to try and get people out there to work locally, and they can't do it. Is there any chance of you opening up, say, border bubbles with New Zealand, with some of the Pacific Islanders, in order to get them out here to work? Is that a chance?
Those discussions are taking place right now. Of course, we're looking at also making sure that we can get shearers in, because the wool clip obviously needs to happen. We've got 45,600 jobs in regional Australia identified by the Regional Australia Institute just last week. So there are jobs out here. We need to get people into these areas. That's why we're continuing this support mechanism for our aviation sector. But Australians in those capital cities need to know there are jobs out in the regions, good jobs, well-paying jobs, jobs right now.
Yeah.
Have a look, see what job might be best suiting you, and come to a region.
Deputy Premier, what is that crop behind you? It looks a little sus.
That's my garden, Karl. We've got a bit of a frost here this morning in Wagga Wagga. It's a bit chilly. I just had to get the pet dog to be quiet. I had to give him another bowl of food to just shut him up. But
He's hungry.
look
might be a tree which hasn't come into bloom yet, Karl.
We've got to try everything.
I even mowed the lawn for you yesterday.
Can we have a look?
Thanks, Deputy PM. Really
Swing
appreciate
the
it.
camera around, Michael. I want to have a look at the lawn.
There you go.
Look at it. Beautifully
Oh,
cut.
it
it's
looks
plush.
magnificent.
Couple of weeds in it. Needs a bit of a spray,
can
but
see
that's
the
all
weed.
good. At least it's green. I tell you what, this time last year it was brown, so we have had rain.
Good on you, Deputy
Thank you
PM.
for that.
Thank you.